Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining today. I would like to welcome Siobhan Hansen to the room. She's the Food Choice Architecture and Nutrition Manager at Google Food, as well as the Vice Chair of the Menus of Change Business Leadership Council. Thank you for being here. I'll see you soon.
Thanks. Great to see you, and welcome everybody. We're so pleased to be here today. Titled Trending in Google Food, Balance Plant-Forward Innovation Across the Globe. With our initiatives to plant-forward food choices and cafe dining across the world, I am super proud to introduce a few members of our food team at Google who work to inspire various strategies for delicious and positive change in the non-commercial food world. First, just a quick story about our history at Google. Our first chef was employee number 53, and that's notable because he was hired before our first head of HR. Food at Google has been so integral to the culture of our company and remains at the heart of our experiences and our connections, even during this pandemic. Since that time, over 21 years ago now, we've hired many amazing chefs, and you're going to meet 4 of them today from across the globe that help to shape, curate, and deliver that on a normal day serves over 195,000 individuals, employees, in close to 300 cafes across 54 countries. In our session today, we'll discover what Google Global Culinary Team is working on from the headquarters in Silicon Valley to Tel Aviv, Sao Paulo, and London. We'll discover how the success of our plant-forward menu and dining innovation varies country by country, region by region, so that we can impress upon our teams the local food cultures and how that can inform what's possible for us. We're going to explore how global communications can create a community of aspiration and strategies amongst our chefs, as well as how this pandemic might affect or might not all the course of future customer engagement around these menu directions. And then finally, we're going to talk a little bit about choice architecture and insights from behavioral science and how they support culinary innovation at Google to transform our food experiences. So you already see 4 of our chefs. I'm going to make quick introductions and then we'll jump into questions. I would welcome questions from the audience. I'm super happy to take those as they start to roll in. But first, let me introduce our panelists. First, we've got Ben Tamlin, Head of Operations, Restaurant Associates at Google based in London, although he's not in the heart of London, as we can see. Ben, you're going to have to tell us where you're sitting today. We've got Omer Alakai, Culinary Chef Yarzan Zella at Google based in Tel Aviv. Bill Billenstein, CIA graduate and Senior Director, Culinary and Nutrition, Guggenheimer at Google based in the Bay Area. And Felipe Frangione, Regional Executive Chef for Latin America, Compass at Google, based in Sao Paulo. So we really are covering 4 corners of the earth. We're super happy to have you all here. And I'm going to just toss it over to each of you as a place to start to ask you a very simple question. I'd like to know what makes food experiences in your cafes uniquely Google. So let's start with you, Bill, if we may.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, Siobhan. Hi, everybody. Hi. I see a smile, so the mic check is working. You know, I think we bring unique Google food experiences to life really in a couple ways in the cafes. I think you hit a couple words there that we really look at. It's balance, right? And more importantly, delicious food. If nobody likes it, nobody loves the taste of it, we're out of business pretty quick, right? And I think, you know, it's delicious is what hints on everything, but it's really that balanced approach and making sure that our users can get what they need to support them throughout the day is really part of the uniquely Google food experience, as well as that coming together. And so no matter what their intended outcome might be of coming to a meal that day in the cafe or one of the food spots, we really make sure that we offer that. You know, we really also focus on food care in our food experiences, as well as our food spots. And we really like to highlight and support not only the people that we're preparing the food for, but where the food is coming from, our suppliers and our vendors. You know, and I'll say, I think in this time right now that we're all operating, that is more important I'd say, than almost ever, right? And we really use a lot of terminology like heart of the house. And today, you know, I'd say in this environment, we're looking at that as a heart of hospitality.
Super. Thanks so much, Bill. Felipe, how about you? Coming from Latin America, give us what's uniquely Google in your part of the world.
Hi, everybody. So from my perspective, besides what Bill just said, so I think people, it's one of the things that makes like our food experience so unique. So because it's through them that we can constantly build the environment of general respect around the whole food system. So, I mean, taking care of every single step from the producer to the Googler. So a diverse collaborative environment where chefs can share their culture through amazing dishes with delicious recipes. Like that's meaningful and that's super fantastic. So that's where like these meaningful connections just happen through the food experience that we are able to feature in our daily basis and in our cafes across the globe. So, and all of this is connected in a very holistic way, and ingredient is just a part of it. So, I mean, people, they are the ones that bring all these concepts to life, and they are the ones that make this meaningful connection happen every day.
Super, thank you. Omer, in Tel Aviv.
Shalom from Tel Aviv. How are you guys?
Shalom.
So yeah, of course, the cafe is very unique in Google. I think first of all, when you get to cafe in Google is like, you see the variety and the abundance, and everyone can find something to eat, and you have all the variety of preference. You have the dish card that when you get to the cafe, you have all the things from the allergens until the product that you feel very oriented, you never get lost. I think from a chef point of view, Google Food Program give you a lot of creativity. But from the other end, when you travel around the world, you still feel the look and feel, and the cafe look the same, feel the same, but the food and the creative of the chef can find themselves very unique. And while being self-service cafe, I think users have a very meaningful and personal interactive service. So it's not like you go to a buffet and you take your plate, so always somebody smile, always somebody happy to help. And I think also something very unique in the Google Cafe is the innovation. So you get it's like a theater, it's empty theater, and the show is changed daily. So we have a cycle menu, the menu change every day, so you never get tired. And something else, I think it's unique for the users and also the cafe, that it's a place after Google's work and think, they have a place for take the energy and inspiration and fuel some idea and sit together, and it's very communal and fun place to be. So this
Super.
is my perspective.
Thank you. Well, a lot of characteristics have been mentioned. Ben, anything else from your side, thinking about the London operations?
Yeah, thank you.
And you want to tell us where you're calling in from today?
I'm currently calling in from an organic chili farm in southeast England near Canterbury. You've got to love technology that I'm able to do this off my phone. I'll say that and jinx myself. But anyway, thank you, Siobhan. Yes, I absolutely echo what everybody else has said. I think we're incredibly privileged to work on such an amazing account that gives us a very visionary look at the future of food. I think, again, we're going through some incredibly challenging times and difficult times, but I think that, you know, we're lucky to be able to have the resources to be able to feel our way through this, to learn as we go, but also keep creating those moments that matter truly for our Googlers. Food is such an important part of everybody's life and day, and hopefully we can continue to provide that experience that sends a bit of joy to everybody, I suppose, during their day, because I truly believe that food does that. But yeah, no, I absolutely echo it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. first of all, to be with us. But, you know, as I heard a lot of these descriptors, hospitality, balance, care, deliciousness, meaningful connections, variety, transparency of information, creativity, you know, so many in the food world, chefs bring so many of these aspects to the table. But I just want to tell each of you how grateful we are, those of us who get to experience this unique culture where food does connect us in a way. It's really, as Michael Bacher would say, very magical for us, and we're deeply grateful. And we want to dig into the notion of balanced plant forward being a very special aspect of what we deliver as well. So we'll talk about that in our conversation. But thank you again to each of you, what you bring to the table every day and how you inspire us. I want to ask you very quickly, we've got a few questions coming in now, which I'll try to manage. How do each of you feel the pandemic will potentially alter our menus at Google? Felipe, do you want to start?
So I do feel that there is going to be a change after the pandemic situation. So I think the way the pandemic just reached out to the system to the procurement systems, this per se, it's a lot of change for us. I also feel this lot of time, this bunch of time that everybody's spending at home, it also shifts a little bit their needs and also what you're eating on a daily basis. So I do feel that this is already happening. So what I think is a good trend, because I feel people that are working from home will be definitely looking for food that it's much more home style, and then maybe more nature and natural, and that without like fat added and oils. So I think this is a win from their side, from this side, but also from the procurement side, I think there is a lot of challenge as the demand just is reduced because a lot of restaurants is closing. So a lot of ingredients are kind of losing their potential on the market as well. And this will be a little bit of prejudicial, and this will impact the business and how this will alter our menus after the pandemic.
Yes, so there will be a change, and we have seen immediate changes just in what's where it's accessible to us. Bill, any thoughts from your side? I mean, coming from the Bay Area, how are you adjusting and thinking about how the pandemic affects the operations?
Yeah, you know, I think specifically how it affects the operations now is really, you know, we've got less people, so potentially less choices or limited impact on the cafe, but that doesn't mean we can't have less variety and we can't try to hit everyone. We also, you know, we need to focus on throughput for those that are coming to cafes, and we're seeing, you know, the food needs to travel a lot more. So whether that's us dropping it off at a delivery location or people picking it up and being able to travel. So I think that's impacting us of how we're creating dishes and what we're looking at, you know. And I think one thing in the plant forward realm is, you know, from our experience, a lot of those plant forward dishes will travel well, better than say a pork chop with a mashed potato or something like that, a protein that's going to get dried out. So we are having a lot more opportunity to blend, but also to do some flips, and also really focusing on animal protein as a garnish or a condiment, if you will. And not necessarily the mainstay of the dish. And users have been very accepting of that. You know, I think something that Felipe mentioned as well there when he mentioned supply chain, you know, and as we move into the future, having those more focused and curated selections by our culinary team allows us to build that supply chain trust and integrity. And that's something that we're seeing. I think we'll continue to see that users and guests are going to want from their food program. There was already an inherent level of trust, and you mentioned all the, you know, Michael's magical comment, but, you know, it's really impacting the chefs in the way that they think about it at even a deeper level now for ourselves.
Thank you. Ben, here's a question for you from Anna Bobat. Two-pronged question, chefs. How do you manage or get buy-in from your chefs in your region when asking them to shift to plant-forward purchasing, when you still know that there are some meat-centric mentalities? So you want to take that first part? And you've done a great job at this. I know London has been a leader in our plant forward efforts, but knowing that, you know, there's still people that have a focus on meat. What's your thought there?
I certainly think from the chef, it's been the biggest struggle. You know, the classic chef, big piece of meat, you know, loves to cook a big bit of fish. It's like the zenith of their day within the kitchen. But how you really switch it, in my opinion, is, you know, you make that challenge the vegetable. You know, we know that getting the most out of vegetables is far harder than, you know, cooking an amazing filet mignon. You know, that's really easy. But when you
So changing the paradigm, it sounds like, really, where as the chef before was focusing on meat and the protein as the core focus, now it's on vegetables, and looking at that as the solution, or the how we address the and create solutions in that space. Omer, there's a second part of this question. How do you handle change management from a customer perspective to get them excited about plant forward? So thinking about our users, what are your thoughts there?
So I think is to take a dish that they know, for example, and try to make a makeover. So for example, I can talk about the hummuseria. It's something that we opened like 2 or 3 months before the pandemic start, but the Google give us some possibility to open idea. And hummus, like you know, in Israel and the Middle East, is something very big. So we take the hummus as a base, and the plant forward, this is the dish, and then the protein is a small part of the dish, and it changes daily. So you get a dish that everyone like, and only use part of the animal is small amount. So I think this is something that get you, bring inspiration.
Okay.
A popular dish, and
so still using some meat, but using it more for the flavor. And
yes.
Graham Kerr, a famous chef, used to say meat in the minor key. So using it, but just really to flavor. I've got another great question. Felipe, I'm going to send this one over to you. I'm wondering if around the globe, you are seeing a similar demand for plant-based products that are deemed delicious with higher total fat, saturated fat content as seen in the US. So are we shifting to plant-based, but actually adding lots of ingredients that may be increasing fat and become then, or tip over into the space of being potentially unhealthy? So, or is your demand more aligned with eating patterns in your part of the globe? So what's happening in your world as you're curating some of these plant-based dishes? Are you watching some of the additional nutritional elements? What are your thoughts there?
We do have a demand here in LATAM as well. So I think that happened in the US. So we do have the industry coming with these plant-based products, but also with fat added and oils. But we also have a part of the chefs that are working in engaging people on the other pattern of the plant-based products. So what we are seeing right now, especially here in LATAM, is that we have an audience for these products, but also this part of audience is shifting or moving through more natural plant-forward, plant-based products. And also just because like a lot of chefs, just like us, not only from Google, but from the retail, are been working in this piece that is so important of engagement, like engaging people, how it's important and what's the impact of shifting to more natural flavors, and also using plant-based, but natural plant-based and local plant-based if possible as it's best. So yes.
Very good, thank you. And we know just the majority of our users, Googlers, they care deeply about their health and nutrition, and that is so they're asking lots of questions. I know you all get them on a regular basis. Here's a great question from Michael Graham. Do the Google chefs from all over the world work collaboratively on any projects or specific initiatives? How do you share information across teams? So Chef Omer over to from Tel Aviv to Chef Bill. How's the collaboration and the communication going? I'll toss that to you, Bill. Can you give us a sense of how you all work together?
Absolutely. And I think it would be amiss if I didn't say we take advantage of Google tools. So lots of meet and lots of chat, lots of Google documents. We are virtually connected and have been virtually connected, I'd say for a while, right? Even before the pandemic. But, to get to global initiatives and projects, yes, we all work together. I think that's a great thing about being part of Google Food and working with the program. It's a collaborative effort, right? And, it's really linking the vendors together, and the vendors are really the power, right? So we don't all work for the same food service company, but we all work for Google Food, and we all work with the same direction. And it's not a mandate from the top down either, from Google to us to say, hey, do this. It's more of a co-creative process of, hey, here's the direction we want to go, whether it be plant forward, which is what we're talking about today, and we'll all work collaboratively on that. So we've had global culinary calls. We'll work on documents, one-offs, and those sorts of things. Keep up with each other on Google Currents and Instagram and that sort of thing. So it flows pretty good that way, right down to a specific project level. I think that's a great question.
Great, thank you. Anybody else have anything to add specific to how you are collaborating with each other across the world?
I think another idea is like the branded concept. So we have in Google have some branded concepts. So like Mix It or the counter. So we share all the recipe there. So I can see what Bill doing in the state, or what Ben doing in London, what Felipe doing in Latin America. So we collaborated. They can see our recipes. So it's very interesting because you get a lot of inspiration.
Super. So Ben, a question for you. What are you doing to upskill your culinary teams to help create the most delicious plant-forward dishes? Again, kind of getting a layer deeper into how these teams really get the skills they need to.
Yeah, we've been working for a few years on a culinary training scheme called SEED, which takes our new and current culinarians really deeply into the world of balanced plant forward. So how to maximize the flavor through applying techniques they would usually apply to meat or fish. So again, that smoking element, putting root vegetables through a smoker, rubbing cauliflowers with great marinades and doing that through maybe a combination oven. All about taking those kind of nuanced techniques and styles and trying to maximize flavor, texture, etc. So that started a few years ago, and we've been working really closely with the CIA on a new training format for our global culinary teams as well. So it's a really interesting environment to be in, an arena to be in, and what's really fantastic to see is that these maybe from a traditional hotel or restaurant or ground, really getting to grips and getting excited about cooking vegetables, legumes, grains, etc. And I think that training is a restaurant, whatever, contract, the ultimate.
Super. Thank you for mentioning that. And we are excited. I think partnership is one big aspect of this. So the SEED training has been foundational for your teams. Knowing what we've got coming up with the Culinary Institute of America on our Plant Forward curriculum initiative, which will be launched next year. We're super excited and agree that training is so foundational to what we're doing. Felipe, a question to you specific to agrobiodiversity. How has this played a role in your cafes to keep advancing plant-forward food choices?
So agrobiodiversity has played like a fundamental role in our menus. So our teams have focusing on developing strong relationships with producers that preserve the local biome and the native species, having the knowledge how beneficial the impact it can be on reversing climate change or developing circular economy and even preserving cultural identity, right? So when we add these specific ingredients in our menus, and several of them ancestral, but not commonly recognized, we end up generating interest around food. So being able to tell the story of these ingredients through extremely delicious recipes, enabling to be part of our regular recipe, or the user to incorporate this to their regular diet, So, and talking with several Googlers in our cafes, for instance, I've heard how our menus had impacted their lives and families and friends, mainly because we are presenting new ingredients and creating this inclusive environment where we celebrate diversity. So that's how it's been played like a very crucial role.
Thank you so much for that. You speak deeply about this, the notion of local ingredients, really getting close to the soil and the earth and what agrobiodiversity means. So you've been a great champion of that for all of us. Bill, I'm going to ask you a question about choice architecture and behavioral science, whether it's the placement of foods or the naming of foods to encourage more uptake of the foods we want people to eat more of. Can you speak to that a bit?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think a big part of it was learnings years ago that whether somebody goes into a micro kitchen or a food spot or the cafe, we didn't really anticipate or understand the environment that they were coming from. And so that they might be going there because they just needed to get away from their desk. It's time for me to go to the cafe, and this is when everybody goes for lunch. I just came out of a terrible meeting or a great meeting. So we weren't thinking of the occasion that people might select foods, right? So that helps play into some of the strategy of where to place things and some of the choice architecture. So if I don't know what I want and I'm just there or I'm kind of hungry, placing the good stuff at eye level or at easy reach or hand level is usually that selection that somebody's going to make because they haven't made a conscious choice of what they're going to go for. And that plays as well as the cafe, right? Making sure that the best choice is the easiest choice and making sure that we have our grains and greens prominent and center, that are plant-based items and our vegan vegetarian items, and even those to an extent that are allergy-free for people are the easiest ones to find. You know, we don't get a lot of time for lunch. As you know, we're all very, very busy. And to go there and be challenged to find the good stuff, if that's really what you're looking for, takes away from that experience. And then really making it just an easy interaction is what we base choice architecture on. So, you know, it's the simple choice is really, or the better choice is the easiest choice.
Well, I want to thank you. We're going to need to wrap it up. We've got questions coming in. I had many more questions. This has been a lot of fun. And again, I can't tell you how proud I am to work with each of you and all of the amazing work you're doing to deliver great, balanced, plant-forward dishes to our Google community every day. You're an inspiration for how to curate this environment for all of those listening on the session today, for improving diets, establishing connections. We talked about community and connection and nourishing our teams. So we hope that this session has inspired new ideas and thoughts and just encourage the connections amongst this team. For those who are watching the session today, if you've got additional questions, please reach out through the chat. We also are going to have a short presentation on how to access all of the new networking opportunities. And there's going to be a short video that will pop up in just a minute or two, so stay tuned for that. And I just, again, want to thank everybody for tuning in today. Thank you to the chefs for all that you're doing, and we'll look forward to talking again real soon. Goodbye, everybody.
We are now going into a networking break sponsored by Nestle Professional. Hopefully you all had a chance to make the za'atar, ragu, and hummus from the recipe shared on Monday, so that we can virtually share a snack even though we aren't all together. You can use the tabs on the left of your screen to check out a range of ways to engage with everyone who is also attending today. In our Sessions tab, we have a special presentation at this break, a live demo celebrating protein diversity with Nestle Professional representatives Cassie Hoover and Chef Logan McCoy, sponsored by Nestle Professional. Throughout all of these activities, we hope you'll ask questions and join the conversation by clicking the green Share Audio and Video button in the Expo and Breakout sessions. In addition to our event chat, you can direct message any participant by searching for their name under the People tab. A red dot and number next to the envelope on the top right will indicate that you have a new message waiting. When in conversation with another attendee, connect live by clicking the Invite to Video Call button, which will populate a link to a private meeting room. Our networking feature matches you with another attendee for a quick 4-minute chat. Today's networking question is, have you experienced interruptions in purchasing since the pandemic? We encourage you to meet a few new connections each week, just as you might strike up a conversation at the coffee station. At the end of one session, click the Ready button again to be paired with another attendee. We encourage you to check out the Expo tab to visit with our sponsors, to watch live demos, hear about new product developments, consumer insights, sustainable operations, or thank them for their support of Menus of Change. And for those of you who are missing the sampling aspects of our in-person programs, head to the virtual tasting booth in the Expo, where you can register your interest in a product sample and virtual tasting experience. The sponsors featured and their theme programming will change week to week, so we hope you'll stop by there often. The themes for this week are listed here. Lastly, don't forget that you are entered in a raffle for each activity you engage in, and if you attend and participate in all 6 weeks, you'll have a chance to win free registration and travel to next year's Menus of Change Leadership Summit in Hyde Park, New York. We'll be resuming programming on the Stage tab at 11:35 a.m. Pacific, 2:35 p.m. Eastern, so go enjoy networking and the Expo until then.